So this coming Monday is besides Family Day, it's Chabet Shvat, the yahrzeit of the 32nd yahrzeit of the Rebbetzin Chaya Mushka Schneerson, the wife of the Rebbetzin Rebbe, daughter of the previous Rebbetzin Rebbe. Zchuta Tagen Aleinu. There's an unbelievable story. She was a very private, regal, a queen. But a few stories came out, which I can share just two short ones, if you could bear with me. Very powerful stories. She used to stay up all night. She used to stay up all night for her husband, who would have private audiences, with people with all sorts of problems. She would not go to sleep until her husband came home, let's say 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. We all can learn to be better spouses. I definitely could learn from that to be better spouses in that way. But one story, she was once traveling in New York, being driven in New York, and they went on a different route because of construction, and she's driving on this other detour, and she hears a commotion, noise, screaming. And she asked the driver to stop the car. There were boxes outside. Someone was being evicted. A lady was being evicted from her place, not paying rent for many months. And she asked the driver to stop to hear more about it. And she asked the sheriff what's going on. There was about a large amount being owed, not being paid in rent. And she asked the sheriff, well, what's the amount? And he names the amount. She takes out her checkbook, she writes a personal check for the entire amount on the spot, and she pays the rent. But what's amazing is what she explained herself. She says, my father, the previous Baba Rebbe, my father told me that everything that is by divine providence, everything that, of course, that we know, everything that we hear, or we see, applies to us. That's why he was shown it to us. The fact that I heard it, and saw it means that I have to take action. And so that was my reaction, to do something about it. Everything is by divine providence that we hear and see, of course. The second story is a very powerful story, and I checked it out to verify the accuracy, doctor. So the Rebbetzin often visited a certain library in Manhattan. Once, when she presented her card, the librarian sees the name Mrs. Schneerson. She says, are you related to the famous Rebbe in Brooklyn? She said, yeah, it's my husband. And the librarian began to complain and kvetch about her husband, the Rebbe. She didn't have children for a number of years, and she came by the Rebbe after much effort for a blessing. And the Rebbe gave her a blessing, and it didn't happen, didn't come true, God forbid. 2 years later, she still has no children. And the Rebbetzin was a very sharp lady, obviously a righteous lady. And she says, what happened? She says, well, I committed to some mitzvah. The Rebbe explained, like a rain is like a vessel. It needs to hold the blessing for it to come down. And I did. Friday night I committed to Shabbos candles. Still have no children. And the Rebbetzin calmed her down, and she said, I don't have any children either. The Rebbetzin didn't have any. The Rebbe didn't have any children. And the librarian burst into tears, and she said, I'm a Holocaust survivor. I was in the concentration camps, and I have nobody left. I'm the only survivor of my family. That's why it's so important for me to have children, for the family to live on. And the Rebbetzin asked, what exactly did my husband say to you? And the librarian answered, he said, I should light Shabbos candles. Are you doing so? Yes. How do you do it? Asked the Rebbetzin. So she says, every Friday night when my husband comes home from work, about 7, 8 o'clock at night, I light the candles. And the Rebbetzin explained the Shabbos candles has to be lit before sunset. Before sunset. And the librarian, and so the Rebbetzin suggested for her to do it at the proper time, which she agreed. And about 10 months later, she had a baby, a boy. And so may God help that we should all be vessels to receive God's blessings, and all of God's blessings. Amen. Good Shabbos.